Alright, let's take a look at some half-life problems and how to go about solving these. And we're not using the half-life equation, we're just using the concept. Keeping it simple, there's no sense in us going any deeper than that. The problems will generally work out to where you have to find the number of half-lives that have passed before you can do anything else. And you're either going to be giving 2 years, 2 times a half-life and an elapsed time, or you're going to be given 2 masses, 2 things in grams. And you're going to have to use that information that you're given to figure out the number of half-lives that have gone by. If you take a look at number 1 from the practice sheet that we did, this is an example of one where you have 2 times. You have 2 things that are measured in years. We have the elapsed time. That's the 151 years. It's how much time has gone by. And we have the half-life, the amount of time it takes for half the atoms in the sample to undergo their decay process. Whenever we have these combination of times, we're going to take the elapsed time and divide it by the half-life to figure out how many half-lives have passed. So in this case, 151 divided by 30.2. 151 divided by 30.2 is 5 half-lives. Basically what that's telling us, if we want to know how much will remain, we're going to have to take our initial amount, the 1.00 grams, and divide it in half 5 times. 1.00 divided by 2, 0.5 divided by 2 again, 0.25 divided by 2 again is 0.125 divided by 2 again is 0.0625. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 half-lives divided by 2 again is 0.03125. So after 5 half-lives, ignoring significant figures, we'd have 0.03125 grams remaining. In cases where you're given 2 numbers in grams, you're not going to be able to approach it this same way. All we have is the half-life, the 5,730 years. What we're going to have to do here is figure out our half-lives based on the decomposition of the carbon-14. How many times do we have to divide it in half to get from 24 to 1.5? So again, we're going to start just dividing. We're doing basically the second half of this first one to start ourselves off here. So we're going to take the 24 grams, divide it by 2. That's down to 12. Divide it by 2 again. Now we're down to 6. Divided by 2 again. We're down to 3. Divided by 2 one more time. And we're at 1.5. It's taken 1, 2, 3, 4 half-lives to get there. Now we want to know how old the sample is. We want to know how long this sample's been sitting around. We know we have 4 half-lives. We're going to multiply that by the half-life time, 5,730 years, to get the half-life time that's gone by. 4 times 5,730 is 22,920 years. That's how much time has gone by. That's how old the sample has to be to have decomposed from 24 grams to 1.5 grams. Again, both times we started by figuring out what the half-life is. That's where we need to start. If we're given a couple of times, we'll use those in this little equation to figure out the half-lives that have passed. If we're given 2 things in grams, we'll go through that process of dividing it up seeing how many times we have to divide by 2 to get from our starting point to our ending point. On the last one here, this is another example of the one where we're given some grams. We have 64 grams, and we have 2 grams here. This time we're going to try to figure out what the half-life of the material is. We know the elapsed time, but we don't know what the actual half-life is. So a little different approach this time, but we're going to still start by figuring out how many half-lives have gone by. On every one of these, you start out by figuring out the half-lives. And again, we're going to do it like we did up here because we have grams. We start off with 64. Divide that by 2. Now we're down to 32. We're going to divide that by 2. Now we're down to 16. Divide that by 2. We're down to 8. Divide that by 2. We're down to 4. Divide it by 2 again. We're down to 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times we divided it by 2. We've got 5 half-lives. Now, if we know the elapsed time was 12.5 hours, that's the total time that's gone by. If we divide it by the number of half-lives, that should tell us how long each half-life was. Each half-life is 2.5 hours. So again, at the end, we deal with it a little differently. We have to use a little reasoning. We have to use a little bit of problem-solving skill to figure out what to do. But again, in the end, it's all about figuring out how many half-lives you started with in order to answer your question.